Hey, we're here with Alex Cuba. Thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
It's an eclectic sound, and obviously it's an eclectic upbringing. You were born in Cuba and came to Canada about 10 years ago. Is that right?
Yes.
And now you live in BC, which is totally a different world from Cuba, probably.
Yeah, exactly. You know, because it's a very far north. You know. where I
Yeah,
live.
you're far away from Vancouver. You're
From
up
Vancouver,
north,
yeah.
right? Because your music is so eclectic, there's probably you draw inspiration from a number of places, but we like to ask people about some of the records that they enjoy listening to and some of the records that inspire them to make music. What would some of those records be for you?
Well, growing up, my father is the one that taught me how to play guitar. Started when I was like 6 years old, and so all I did from there until I was like 11 or something, that was mainly Cuban music. You know,
Yeah.
My father is like an encyclopedia of Cuban music. You know, so he walked me through everything pretty much, all the different genres and from Cuba, which is a lot of music. It's a small country, but we have a lot of different kinds of music happening at the same time. And when I was 11 years old, I saw Michael Jackson on TV, you know, and I know that he did what he did to me, to so many people in this world, right? But I was one of them, and I was so I don't know, in love with what I was seeing that I ended up. From there, I went to dress up like Michael Jackson, even dance like him. I learned many of the moves. I lost them all. I'm not gonna dance here for you today, but.
You still have the Jackson 5 hair, though.
Well, I figured that would be easier than to dance. You know?
Yeah.
So, and but musically influenced me, like
Yeah.
a huge deal, you know. Then when I was 14 years old, I started playing electric bass, and that's where I go fully on, you know, into American music. And then from there, it was pretty much jazz, what I was into, you know. So I went to listen to Jaco Pastorius. I had many of his albums and live concerts and stuff like that. And then, you know, all the great American bass players, but mostly, you know, jazz. Jaco Pastorius, Ron Carter, John Patitucci, you know, many of them mainly in jazz. And that that was what I did from 14 to 24, which is when I moved to Canada.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when I got to Canada, it was time for me to express myself, I guess, you know. And now as an adult, all of the influences are coming out of me in an organic way, you know. And that's why my music is, you know, sort of unique, sort of fusion, I would say. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that you learned how to play electric bass, and yet you find your guitar playing is interesting because there's a lot of picking and a lot of stuff going on that you wouldn't expect a bass player to necessarily know how to do. So is that something that you had to learn again, relearn how to play the instrument when you picked up just an electric guitar?
No, but by the time I picked up the electric bass, I was already, I like to think, pretty good, you know, playing the guitar. As I would, you know, watch my dad every day and play with him and learn. He would teach me pieces and, you know, stuff like that. So when I went to the bass, I didn't go completely away from the guitar, right?
Right.
So I kept sort of playing guitar here and there. But the funny thing is that now in Canada, I picked up the electric guitar. That's kind of the newest thing I've done in my career, besides singing, because I wasn't singing in Cuba. And I started playing electric guitar, and I didn't pick up the pick.
Yeah.
So I played the electric guitar as a bass player with my fingers.
Yes.
And at the beginning, I thought it was weird or there was something wrong with me or something. But people quickly started liking the sound and my technique, because it brings something else to the guitar, right?
Right.
And I'm now enjoying that. Besides, I don't know how beat up your fingers and that at the end of the show, you know, or when you are on tour and you do 10 shows in a row, you know, you have to repair your hands a little bit. But I love the sound, you know. And
have you heard of Charlie Hunter? He's a guitar player, but he plays an 8-string guitar where bottom two are bass lines. So he doesn't have a bass player, and so he plays same way. He hand picks guitar, but he doesn't have a bass player. So it's just him up on stage. You should check him out.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know what? I love. Maybe he came up with the idea of doing that due to, I don't know. Maybe he didn't have money or something to pay the bass player.
Yeah.
You know? But I love limitations. You know, that's what I think will get out of a musician is best. You know what I mean? For example, I'm playing with a trio, a three-piece band.
Yeah.
Drums, bass, and guitar, and most people don't expect that from a Cuban artist. You know, they expect the big band where everybody's like playing one little instrument, and they all make a big band, a big sound, right? Well, we get the big sound with just three, and that's due to limitation that I sort of maybe even force myself to do it that way in order to break through, you know. And
sounds great.